that at the beginning, right? So I love game theory. Love it. It's a fun little. Here's my problem. Game theory is to business as chess is to war. How's that? Game theory has structures and rules and is very logically sound, but it presupposes the actors in it are rational individuals. Have you ever met one rational person in your life? I'd love to meet them.
No, but no, I have not.
No. Human beings are irrational. They're emotional. Okay? So in the same way, chess, well, it's a simulation of war and it's strategy. It's stratego. Bullshit. When gunfire happens, people react viscerally. And so you can say, well, game theory says that all players being rational, this is what would happen. Yeah, but then you got people going, fuck it, I don't like it. I'm gonna do this. This is when on the last podcast I did, when I said, well, how do you make sure that contracts, why is it that the contracts that you deal with have everyone win? It's just because we first acknowledge the fact that emotions are involved and we got to work through that. And we know that somebody there goes, I'm going to screw up the entire deal because he didn't acknowledge me right in the last meeting. Oh my God, you need him to come and bend and kiss the ring for you to get your money. Okay, let's see if we can work this out. And then you got to go to the other side and go, you know how you sometimes really want to, yep. And you know how you get that way? Yep. Well, they're over there doing that. Well, that's stupid. Oh, stupid when they do it. Okay, it's stupid when everyone does it. Okay, well, right now they're being stupid. And we can give them space for that. Yes, yes. Okay, so kiss the ring and let's make this thing happen. Because we liked the idea of it when we started, and we're going to like the idea 6 months from now when it wins for everyone. So can we just get all our stupid out of our system and move forward? Yeah.
There's only so much space you can allow for stupid before you have to step in. And that's where we're at.
But we have to acknowledge that the stupid is there.
Yes.
And
always.
Railing against it doesn't make it go away. Let's just embrace the stupid. How's that for a start to the show?
Let's do it. Embrace the stupid.
Welcome back to The Ether, the show that disrupts the way you think about running your business. Join me, Brandon, and my co-host, Sean Delaney, the creator of What If, on today's episode. Our goal is to provide context around what we talk about so you have the clarity to cut through the noise and the confidence to grow and run a truly harmonious business. Let's jump in and take the next step to achieving business freedom.
You know what it takes to achieve business freedom, Sean? Do you know what it takes?
Do I know what it takes to create?
Do you know what it takes?
You have to embrace the stupid.
Well, that's step one.
You just acknowledge it. You don't have to accept it. I didn't say you accept it. When my son pitches, one of my children, how many children do I have? Well, the three that I'm raising, there are no mystery children that we know of. The 3 children I'm raising, they do all kinds of stuff I don't like, but you embrace them anyway. You say, gosh, that was terrible, right? We shouldn't be doing that, right? You don't just throw the whole thing out because, well, these ones aren't good. Let's make more. We enjoyed that part, so let's just do that again. No. No. These are the ones we have. Just like the business. This is the business you have. But I hate it. It's stupid. You created it. Let's get your DNA all over it. Let's shepherd it in the right way. I wish there was some kind of context or architecture that would help me do that.
Well, I was going to say, one way to get around that, if you've created this stupid thing, is to introduce some order. How does that sound if we introduce some order into your business?
That sounds pretty good. So what are we talking about here, Brandon? We're talking about the things we're talking about. What are we talking about?
Right. It sounds like we're talking about stupid, but what we're really talking about is order. How to create order in your business in the harmonious architecture. What is order? One of the 2 O's. Very confusing. But it's more than that. So let's start there. We're going to go through, we're in this series we're going through each of the 10 disciplines, the 5 most important questions you can ask yourself to figure out where the holes are in your business. Of course, it's part of our larger diagnostic, the 50 most important questions any business owner can ask at any given time. Here, I'll put that on the screen if you've never heard of that before. Whatif.com, you can go take the bad yourself. But order, Sean, explain for me, what is order before we dive into these 5 questions?
So there are 10 fundamental disciplines that run through every business, whether you like it or not. They are there. They are like gravity on the earth. It's there. You have to deal with it. One of those disciplines that we acknowledge is what we call order, but it is process management. And so people, this is the space where automation lives, job aids, all that kind of stuff, right? So when people say,
SOPs.
this is the stuff, this is the discipline where people say, so you guys are operational. Your COOs? Yeah. So operations. Yeah. Great. Okay. I have a little bucket. I have a little box that I can put you in. Okay. So most entrepreneurs think about operations in the wrong way. I see operations as every single thing that happens inside your business, from conception to execution to eventual sale or dissolution. The entire thing is it is your operation. This is what we're doing. Otherwise, it's, well, some conceptual thing, right? America is a sense of freedom. America is a place with an ethos, with moving parts, with all kinds of things, but it's physical, it's tangible, you can live in it and interact with it. Okay, so your operations, what we like to think about it is, this is your value chain. So what do I mean by value chain? Your value chain is how you take nothing and create something, how you take experience and create service. It's how you take raw materials and create widgets. It's how you create value inside the value exchange that is business. All business is just a value exchange between individuals. We muck it up by saying, well, it's not just individuals, it's a company, it's a brand, it's all this stuff. Yes, that's all built on the backs of the fact that you're two people exchanging value. And we commercialize it with proxies for that value with things like money. Great, super distilled, we get the essence of it. And so your value chain is how you create that value so that you show up in the marketplace, say, here, I have a brand promise. I have a thing. You have a problem, I solve it. You have a gap, I fill it. You have a need, I have a solution. Great. Okay. So the value chain is start to finish how you do that and all the components that allow you to do that in the best possible way. Okay. So that's teed that up. And we call it order because this is where we have things like job descriptions, checklists. This is how the thing is done. And so we like to use music as an example for things. Of course, it's the harmonious business architecture. And so imagine if, as the CEO, you were fronting a band and you say, okay, here's the notes. I've hired a bunch of great musicians because I know the song we're trying to play in the marketplace, but these are the notes. Without the notes, everybody's just playing their own thing. Or, and it can be disharmonious, or they're all really good musicians. They're all jazz musicians. This is what we are in the world, man. It's always a little different. Yes, it's always different because we didn't set anything in stone. We got really talented musicians and we're just gonna riff and jam the whole time, but we can't ever make it the same thing, man. Okay, well now you can't produce widgets and you can't scale. At some point you got to say, these are the notes we play in this situation. Okay. And part of the way we start to pick at that for entrepreneurs is not head-on direct. We ask questions in and around the space to try to also ascertain whether or not a business owner understands not only the concept, but if they have connected that concept to the other disciplines, because that is where the power of the architecture lives, is in the connection between the disciplines. So let's get into the questions, Brandon. I'm aching to get into the questions.
I want to get into the questions, but I want to highlight one important thing. So I was asked this, and you brought this up before. That's why I want to clarify it. I was asked this on a podcast, and the host asked me to explain the difference between a COO, which is what you have said that we are. That's the role that we take on with our clients.
Yeah.
So COO, true COO, which we have a podcast on that we've done a little while ago. So go check that out if you're curious to really dive into what does a good COO do for your business. But what is a COO versus an operations manager versus a business manager or online business manager, which is basically a glorified VA. Sorry to offend anybody, but what they asked me to, the reason they asked me, because they didn't really understand what a COO, they just manage SOPs and the operations. And I said, no, please don't ever say that again. But can we just clarify that before we dive into these questions? Because we do have questions about SOPs here on this list. And I just want to clarify that we're talking about a lot more than that.
Oh, so much more. And so if you're a COO, a CEO, your COO takes all the things that you as the CEO want done, need done, not just want, also need, and actualizes it and makes those moving pieces happen. This is one of the reasons why, and you'll see the very first question, I think, is around the operating model. Because right there, we're setting the stakes in the ground, saying, operationally, you need an operating model. But what's in it? Everything, every component of your business needs to be mapped out and understood and managed and controlled. And so the CEO, they're the front person, they're the visionary. They have to set the strategy. They have to set the context for the brand. They have to do all those kinds of things. And then the COO has to effectualize all those strategies and that essence and the brand promise and make it become true through the effectuation of all those things into the world. That kind of seems very amorphous and up here, kind of, I'm like super in my head right now, but that's what it is. That's the essence of it. So you go, well, what does the COO do? Everything. They're responsible for everything. And so the CEO says, so for BevGraph, one of the businesses I own, my business partner, Bud, says, I think that when we do this, when we do biodegradable packaging, we should not only make sure that it biodegrades, but what if we could make it not only do no harm, but be additive to the environment? And I say, great question. I got it. Now I have to line up resources, strategies, plans, and effectuate that into the world. And he goes, hey, how are we doing on things? Oh, it's great. I got 3 experts working on this part over here, this component. We broke it down into all the components that would have to make that thing happen. We have experts working on them. We have channels that are going to do A, B, and C from there. And then this is where we're going to get there. And this is the target date. And we have projects set up to do it. All the things that we do with the rest of the architecture, I'm doing it. Why? Because I run the entire operation. I run all the pieces and components. Not just SOPs. Is it a part of it? Yes. Or when they go, oh, you guys are COOs? Yeah. So you're automation experts. That's like saying, that's like calling the head of cardiothoracic surgery at a hospital. So you like do what? Like take blood pressure and stuff? Well, yes. The answer is yes. I do that. I also do a whole lot of stuff. You're missing the point, right? So I think a massive disservice is done, and that's why we stop. Yeah, we say that we're COOs, and fractional COOs, but that means so little to so many people. I mean, at the upper end, when I say that to a Nike or an Uber or whomever, they go, well, but we don't need a COO. We have a COO. Right. You just need somebody. You're such a big company, that COO, their effectiveness diminishes as it proliferates across this thing. And that's why you have giant chasms of disharmony in your business. And that's why you would call somebody like us in to fix that, because it's so there, you can't see it and do all it. So yeah, if you said fractional COO to them, they don't get that. They say, no, but what are we? We're an operational efficiency consultant. And then you get in there and you do a couple of projects for them and you go, oh, you're so much more than that. Yes, but we had to say a thing that didn't break your model of the world by saying, I do the thing that you think you do. Right? We've had clients where if we had said to them, we're fractional CEOs, they'd say, no, you're not. I'm the CEO. Why do I need you? Well, have you done any of these things in these disciplines? Well, like 15% of them. Yeah, you're not the CEO. I mean, you're doing a great job. You're doing a great job. You're doing a great job. It's too big. And so you need somebody with that kind of experience to understand all of those things and understand how all these pieces are interconnected. Don't worry, we've got it. Well, so you guys really are like a CEO. Yeah, but we can't say that because nobody wants that until they understand what they're lacking. So call us anything. But when people say, oh, you guys are COOs. Yeah, so it's SOPs and that kind of thing. Yeah, we're taking blood pressure. We're taking blood pressure. Fine, sure. So
if that's what you want us to do. Well, really, it's when you say like that, it's the bridge for that type of CEO. It's the bridge between being the business operator and truly being the business owner or the business visionary, if you will, whatever label you want to put on it. It's how can you, instead of managing the day-to-day of a business, be more about managing the structure and the direction, which is two totally different things that most COOs don't actually ever get to.
They need to have command of the operating model of all and all the components of it. In actuality, the map is not the territory, right? So being able to map it out into an operating model is great, but you need to actually know what's in it, why strategically it makes sense, where the efficiencies can be found, where the scaling issues will come up, and how to solve for all of it. And be able to pivot and move as the marketplace and your competitors react, because nothing is ever set in stone, because the world isn't set in stone. The only thing guaranteed is that change happens. Once change stops, the entire universe grinds to a halt. It is a moving clock that once it is not a clock, it ceases to exist. We're getting very conceptual here. We're getting deep in the.
We are. Let's bring this back to earth. Let's bring this to our clock.
So there is a diagnostic that we have used at the Fortune 500. We have used them for entrepreneurs. We've used it everywhere, and it is always universally true in where it tells us the problems lie inside your business.
And fun fact, as of this morning, this diagnostic has been used in 5 different countries that I'm aware of. I think that's pretty cool.
That we're aware of, just like the children that I don't know that I fathered. There are probably many countries.
A different episode, but
no, that didn't happen. You know what? It's a good thing my wife is tired of hearing me, because she will never watch this show. So these jokes are fine. They're innocuous.
That's why I cut it up into clips. So I will send her that one.
Question
number 1. You mentioned operating model. Yes, operating model is the center of the first question. So we have an effective operating model, which is explained, a system of integrated and systemized processes that enable us to do what we need to do in a repeatable and easily managed way. I think the first question that comes to my mind before you pick apart this statement or question is why they need to explain it. Do people not understand, you think, what an operating model is, at least in this context?
No. And these questions they've evolved. I've been using this diagnostic for 20 years. So they've changed the questions. This was one where people would just go, I don't know what you mean by an operating model. Or when they said they knew, they didn't know. The only ones who knew are like people at the Fortune 50 level, kind of knew where I was going. So that's why I had to define it, and then define it in a way that isn't the full thing. But this first question is, do you even think like this? Right? Like, are you seeing your business in this context, the context of order of your value chain? Because we know that an organization a business is more like a body than it is like a clock. For lots of, we don't have the time today to unpack that. That's a different show. But so I want to know, though, here in order, are you thinking of it like a clock, to the extent that that analogy is helpful? And do you see parts and pieces as needing to mesh together and there being some kind of order in the world? If this, then that. And trust me, this happens. It is frequent that entrepreneurs will say, absolutely, I get it. But those are the people who are, and I'm an SOP expert and everything's documented. And man, we're all over that. But they leave it there. They don't really understand the full context of it. But anyway, so this first question is, can you even think of this in a world as you have a bunch of people and those people need jobs to be done, and those jobs should, you have a bunch of pilots. Are they using a pre-flight checklist every single time? And I'm not saying there's not room to riff a little bit. Well, but in some businesses there aren't. In some jobs there aren't. Like, I'm a chemist for Pfizer. Great. What do you do? Well, sometimes I throw extra shit in because today I feel spicy. No. There are certain jobs where it must be done. Like, I don't need the person who giving me anesthesia for an endoscopy to be like, how we feeling today? You want to be out a few extra? Today I'm going to give you some of the pink stuff. Oh, let's get loopy. No. I don't need Dr. Feelgood in that moment. This is not the place. So anyway, the first question is, do we even think about it as an operating model? Because we're always disruptive in the things we're doing. I'm trying to first tell this person who thinks they know what these operational kind of questions are going to be about is about. Now, it's an entire model. And then I'm going to define it here at least to say, do you understand that it is a bunch of people in this chain doing component parts that need some level of repeatability and predictability so that all people can say, hey, Brandon, when I hit that note, that's when you do it, not 30 seconds later, right? Okay, so that's that question.
I love it. All right, that was question 1. 2, do our employees have access to job aids and work instructions / procedures to help them do their job to maximum effectiveness?
So some entrepreneurs say, why is this here? Because I know you're going to ask me a bunch of HR questions. This is an HR question, right? About the people. This is, again, us instigating the bleed over from one discipline to another so that they understand these are not done in isolation. Because I can't tell you how many times people say, oh yeah, we've got this operational thing totally nailed down. And then you start asking this question and you see gaps in the procedures, in the processes, and they see it as me as the business owner needing people to do things a certain way rather than what do I need to put out there to help Brandon. So it's not just, it is a little bit, as the CEO, I need to protect the brand promise, the essence, the flavor. This is what we do here. We don't play jazz. We play rock. Okay? Whatever. Pick your thing. This is what we do. I need to do that as the CEO. But then there has to be, what you need to be thinking about, though, what am I doing to support them? So there's stuff that must be done. And then it's not just in service of me and the brand. It's in service of you so that you have clarity when you show up and you are not just filling in the gaps. Because when that happens, it is bad. And I have institutional examples at Fortune 50 companies where they were losing money with people who had the best of intentions. And I'd show up and say, okay, so talk to me about this process. Well, I do this, this, is this. Okay. What about this extra step that now I know should be there? And they go, oh, no, I don't do that. Why not? Simple. I mean, we're all just figuring stuff out. But I realized if I cut out those 4 steps, I got way more efficient. And the client loves us. And those are my 2 mandates from on high. The CEO told us we're looking for efficiency because we don't want to save money. We want to be efficient, and we want and customer happiness, customer satisfaction is job 1 here. Great. What they didn't realize was the steps that they took out were the parts that the company was charging extra for. So of course the client loved it because they were getting it for free, and the employee loved it because they didn't have to do those 4 steps that were. Billing is awful. Billing is how we get paid. What are you talking about? Okay, so their directives, well-meaning. I want to be efficient. I want to honor the 2 directives I've been given here in this part of the process, which is be efficient and make the client happy. Guys, did we not put this down? Well, frontline employees know they can figure it out. They've got it. Let's figure out what this process is and make sure that people are following this process. And we can change it later based on their feedback. But right now, this is what it is. Let's lock it down. That way we can repeat it. We can train to it. We can collectively make it more efficient using the metrics that we've set up in place. Different discipline, but it's there and it's connected. That's what we're looking for there.
Yeah, one thing that's like so glaringly obvious with that example is people create SOPs or how-to docs for their companies, or even if they don't and they just like train somebody when they walk in the door in their company, very rarely do people explain the why behind the process. And that simple explanation of why could have said, we do these 4 steps because they may seem redundant, they may be annoying. That's how we happen to get paid. And that is how you will keep your job because we will continue to get paid.
And this woman, this woman, it's a real example. I'm trying to be very coy about it to not name companies, but she was in tears when I pointed it out to her. And I was like, you do understand that this is the impact. She was devastated. She had no idea because it was never really explained to her. It was just, here's a rough outline of the process. But hey, we're empowering you to make it more efficient. That sounds awesome. We've said that, hey, you got to empower your employees. We've said those words. We didn't mean like that. And this is why there is an art to this as well. But anyway, and this is why we ask this question to start to ascertain what level of riffing and jamming is allowed inside this process. And are we a jazz band or are we making pharmaceuticals? What are we doing?
It's like the same thing.
All right. It's all the same thing, Brandon. It's all the same thing. It's a value exchange with irrational people in the middle of it, trying to throw elbows to get some space down in the corners. Man, you want to play hockey? That's what you got to do.
I love it. All right, question 3 of 5. We regularly? Sorry, I skipped ahead here. Do we have a set time to regularly review our SOPs? But Sean, my company's 15 years old, and I wrote all those SOPs 15 years ago. It's good. It's good. It works.
With SOPs, nobody's looked at them in a while, but they've been here. They're the bedrock of the company. Look at how old they are. No. Yeah. So this is, again, and we asked this in a couple of places in the other disciplines, and do you have a set time to do this? Because how quickly, Brandon, how quickly do the wheels come off? We go, absolutely. Now I'm a strategic planning expert. We got processes and procedures. We do this, we do that, we do that. One-on-ones with employees. Oh, man, great. I have an open door policy, which is if that door's not open, don't come in. Right? So that's my open door policy. No. So, but do you regularly do it? Well, I mean, we do it when it comes up. When is that? Because I've seen your freedom. I mean, I've seen your time scores, right? I know what we're doing here with your time allocation. So I don't know when you would do it. Yeah, might have been a while. I actually though with Tony, I do it all the time. I bet Tony's really fun, and you like talking to him. Yeah. Do you do it with the rest of these people? Well, I can't stand them. And that one, she smells a little weird on Wednesdays. I don't know what. Okay, what are we doing? Is there a rhythm and cadence? Is there a set time that you're doing this? Because if not, I don't believe you, because it's going to get lost. And so with all of those things, and there are many of them, we say, don't just tell me you do it. When do you do it? When we get around to it. Nobody I've met ever has around to it. So I think they only come in squares. So let's put it in place. It's one of the procedures I want you to have. So.
And it's so easy too. If you date your SOPs, however you keep them, and you know that every 3 months, 6 months, if one comes up and you see it's over the longer than 6 months old, you review it. It could be that simple. Like, we're not trying to make your life complicated here. It's just very simple. Keep track of dates. Look at how long things go by before you look at them again, because you may not even need them. Like, I've seen people, I've seen companies who have like books of SOPs. They have 300, 600 SOPs. And I'm like, do you even use all these? There's no possible way this company with 24 employees has 600 SOPs. It's truly impossible. And they're like, well, we just keep a record of everything. Well, you're making your life way more complicated.
And that's the dark side of it. I mean, I got brought in to fix something at a corporate company where these people were sending out the wrong letters all the time, and management just kept yelling at them, send the right one, I went into the system. And they're like, yeah, I have 45 letters here just on this one part of the process. And they're all named almost exactly the same thing.
Even better.
Almost, right? I can't look at it. And they go, how do you know what's the right one? Well, I just know it's the 5th one down. Oh, God. Like, this is how what? Why do we have, can we archive these somewhere? Can we move them out of here? Can I give you 2 choices? And you pick the one that goes out for, in this situation, the one that they're like, oh, I would love it. And then everybody I talked to in that unit, they had different ways that they handled it. Well, I saved these over here separately. But the ones you have saved on your computer don't get updated when they update them in the shared drive. Yeah, I know, but they never. I'll find out. Someone will tell me if they update them. Again, a workaround, because management is what? Stupid and irrational. Like everybody. Love you, but everybody. And so what are we doing here? This needs to be easier. So I'm not saying have 300 SOPs for every SOP. We have 4 SOPs just on how to write our SOPs. It's a Groucho Marx. Right.
Well, you brought it up. That's actually the next question. When we change a process, we document and socialize the change. Funny you say that about it's on my desktop. I'm sure I'll hear about it if it changes. Well, will you? I don't know.
Isn't it interesting how all the issues I've ever encountered in these stories I tell then translate into questions on the diagnostic? But then when people say, I don't know about these questions, are they the right one? They're the right ones. The scars you see this one? On this one, a shark nearly took your leg off, right? Okay. I got the scars. So yes, do we read it again, Brandon?
When we change a process, do we document and socialize the change?
And so this is getting into the change management discipline, which we call modify, which is change is going to happen. We know it's going to, especially if you are strategically and purposefully looking at in regular intervals, or when a trigger happens, different discipline, but when our metrics say to us something's not right, let's look at our processes again, because they should have predictable outcomes. Otherwise, why is it a process? Right? I'm not going to write ridiculous analogy. Because my kids, when I tell them how to throw their little boomerang thing, it's like, why to go over there? I don't know, because it's random. It's not, this process is not one that is predictable, right? So, but if we brush our teeth in the way that we're supposed to, I guarantee you'll have better oral health. So anyway, but change is going to happen. We're going, especially if we're looking at things to say, can we get more efficient? Can we innovate? If we're a forward-thinking, always scaling, moving, growing, becoming better kind of organization, if we want that, and we should want that, then we know that change will happen. And then what happens when that change should happen? So very real. You think this can't happen, or you think this is just me casting aspersions at entrepreneurs? Not true. Fortune 50 company. I went in. The client, they had an institutional client. So think big institutional client with another institutional client as their, or institutional company as their client. Very sophisticated. The client was super upset because they said, it's like you have no idea what the process is, because we're getting different results all the time. And management just kept yelling at the business unit, follow the process, follow the process. We've given it to you. Follow it. Follow it. This was we'll have meetings with increasing levels of volume. Follow it. Okay, follow it. These people are terrible. Right, so I show up, and I have some of the frontline employees there, and they brought their work instructions. So nice. And they had them in front of them, and I'm looking. They're talking, quack, 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 quack. But I'm looking, and I say, I'm sorry, Brandon, I see that you have the work instructions right there in front of you. I'm like, oh yeah, I got it. And Sarah, I see you have the work instructions. Yeah. Brandon, why do yours have writing in the margin? And and I asked the question not because they had written something in the margin. That would have been a question to ask even if they had done it. But I could see that it had been photocopied. It wasn't even their notes. So I said, why does yours have? And they go, I don't know. But these are, and so what had happened was, unravel it. Long story, unravel it. There was an upper market process and there was a lower market process that they were trying to figure out. Somebody was doodling and saying, what if we made these process changes? And then those never actually went into effect. But somehow that had been out there, and it was given to about half the unit.
So they did go into effect.
They did go into effect.
For 50% of the people. And
no one thought to question this because the change had never been, right? So some people have been told, yeah, this is what we're going to be doing because guess what? It was more efficient. No one had any sign off from the customer. The piece that people were trying to figure out how to get rid of was a piece that they needed. We didn't need it. They needed it. And the executives hammering this out found that out and knew it. But the rank and file were doing the job. They didn't know that. And they were handed work instructions and told their training consisted of follow your work instructions.
It's good training.
And following them.
Really good.
Do this, then this, then this. Oh. But months, this went on. And nobody actually showed up and went, so are we following the instructions? Yeah. What instructions? These? Yeah. Yours aren't yours. Why? Oh, there we go. The corporate salute. The institutional corporate salute.
Well, I don't know. Oh, that's amazing. All right, well, let's wrap this up. Moral of the story: document and socialize your change, please. Anyway, question 5, last question. We effectively use automation to make our business operate efficiently. So do you effectively use automation to make your business operate efficiently? Kind of, this was written before the world of modern AI, obviously, but
Yes.
talk to me about this question. So, because it's not just AI.
Mostly here, I was looking for, I'm looking for, because a lot of people will go to, well, we just automate everything, right? I don't know. I have to analyze your process first and the results that you're getting. And so this is, again, is a connective question across things, because I have had situations where people have said, well, I know the process. In order to get the story out, it becomes so obvious when you say it, but in the convoluted world, it made sense to these executives what they were doing. But they said, well, we brought you in to make this more efficient. You're trying to fix things. I just want it to be faster. I'm like, wait, so your process is creating shit and you want us to make shit faster. And they're like, well, it's stupid when you say it like that. It's like, no, it was stupid when you said it. You just couldn't hear it. You're telling me to make this more efficient. We haven't even figured out if you're getting the right results out of it, right? So what are we automating? The key to automation is it making it easier, faster, or better for you to deliver your brand promise? Does the client think this is more efficient, or do you think it's more efficient? Because I had the same accountant. I'm a very loyal guy. I had the same accountant for over almost 20 years. And I've left now because he sold to somebody new, and the new person said, we're going to make a lot of stuff around here more efficient. And all those efficiencies were for them looking at their business, not me. Because what they gave me was a lot of extra shit to fill out. And I don't want to do that. So I left, as did a lot of their clients. And they said, what happened? Gosh, we came in and we made things more efficient for you, not for me, not for the delivery of the value you promised me. And so now I walk. So the major thing you have to think about there on automation is, who am I automating this for? It's okay to automate it for you if it's to save money, if it won't affect the brand promise or the value delivery, and it's to save money, which is passed on to them, crack on. But if you're only looking inside your walls, I'm a little scared. It's dark and I hear wolves. You think you're scared? I gotta walk out of here. Brandon, let's wrap it up.
Yeah, well, another good example of that would be just like, imagine McDonald's versus any Gordon Ramsay restaurant, right? You're not going to want to go into Gordon Ramsay's restaurant, place your order on an iPad, and then have to go pick up your $150 steak from a window with someone yelling your number out. Like,
but it's so efficient.
It's more efficient for Gordon Ramsay, but no one's ever going to go back to that restaurant.
Brandon,
That's what we do in our businesses all the time.
It's so efficient.
So efficient. All right, well, let's be efficient and wrap this up and get on to the next episode. You know what we're talking about next week? I got a fun one.
I don't know. What are we talking about next week?
Metrics. We're talking about numbers and what you should analyze. There's the key word. Is it gonna be boring? We'll make it fun. We'll spice it up.
If you think there's nothing sexy about metrics, you haven't met Brandon.
Well, I don't know where to take that. So I'm just gonna say thanks for watching the Ether. We'll see you on the next one.